Rob Wilson. I work for the NRCS, the USDA, Department of Agriculture. And right now my job has evolved over the last, I began as a soil mapper back in Iowa. But the job is involved to the point where we're not just looking at soil, but we're looking at soil and its relationship to the landscape and to the plants and to the water. We're looking at the whole ecosystem instead of just parts. So my job now involves looking at specific plants on a point on the earth. The point is determined by a computer in Ames. We have several points that have been selected over the years, and we revisit those points about every 3 to 5 years. We go back and look at the plants, look at the soil relationship, and see if there's been a change. And if there is a change, can we tie that change to climate? Can we tie it to man's intervention? Can we tie it to overgrazing? So we're looking at a whole host of things. When I'm doing textures, you have to run it through a sieve, because anything that stays on the screen is not soil, and we don't texture soil. Then I can go ahead and do the texture. Add a small amount of water. Now, what a lot of people like about this job is you get paid to get dirty, which is fine. Not exactly the most important thing for me, but okay. And you want to make sure you have just the right amount, and then you try to press a ribbon between your pointer finger and your thumb. The longer the ribbon, the more clay. And the clay, soil is made up of 3 things: sand, silt, and clay. Everybody can feel sand, and most people can feel clay. You can't feel silt. So when I'm texturing, I'm looking at the sand-clay ratio. And it does form a weak ribbon, and it breaks off fairly quickly. So I'm probably looking at a sandy loam. We're going to put a little acid on this. And we get a much more violent reaction, which is what I would expect if we're over caliche. It's pretty good stuff. It will hold a lot of water, and that's what's important. So water and clay like each other. The more clay you have in the soil profile, the more water will be held against the pull of gravity. So we get some rain. Through the summer, that water stays with the clay, and then it becomes available for all these plants to use. If you don't have clay, the water moves through the profile very quickly and is lost to the plants. And one of the things that we do is a plant inventory. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Very quickly, just kind of go through. We're looking at plant diversity and density at the site. And what we could do once that's done is compare it to the density and diversity 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 and 20. And in that way we can see if there's been any noticeable change. Well, the health of the area in a natural condition is very good. You've got a great diversity and appropriate density of plants. The issue becomes it's so close to a road, and there's a lot of ATV traffic and things like that out here that has a tendency to degrade the site. But where we're at right now, it's in pretty good shape. I grew up in Iowa, and I grew up in the strip mine area of Iowa, where soft coal was mined by bulldozers, and they really tore up the landscape. And I used to go back in those old areas and look around, and I could see that soils were different colors. There were blacks and brown, there were red soils, yellow soils, and I always wondered why. Why the difference? And did the difference make any impact on the soil health and what crops could be grown. And it was just an interest that stayed with me, and I always wanted to be a scientist in some way. I love being outside. I love being kind of my own boss in a way. I'm able to go out when I need to go out, look at what I need to look at, get the data, get it back to Ames, let the smart people do the manipulation, and I get to do the fun part. That's being out in the fresh air, sunshine, and collecting data. So the thing in my childhood was growing up around things that were different and my wondering, why are they different and is it even important?